Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Alchemy with Shiana Lee. And today I am joined by the beautiful Elodie, and we have connected through the field of elemental journeying together. And we haven't been connected for very long, like maybe a week or two.
Mm,
But I love that she is so passionate about the things I'm really passionate about, bringing it into the world, rewilding the feminine, breaking down conditioning, and really getting into like the little intricacies of what keeps women stuck in boxes and not fully expressed and alive. So we will be journeying that together today. And I'm really excited because this is actually our first big chat. So other than that, other than the like energy of like what we're passionate about, this is going to be unknown territory for both of us. But I'm excited. I'm excited to welcome you on and welcome you into this space. I know you'll have a lot of medicine for the women here. And yeah, just come and invite yourself in and tell us what's alive for you at the moment and what brings you lots of passion in this world, my love.
thank you. Thanks so much for having me here. Oh gosh, wow. Yes. Well, my name's Elodie. I'm on the sunny coast in Queensland, and my passion, my absolute joy, the thing that I get to do in this lifetime is to really help women to remember their truth, their power, their essence. So I'm a feminine embodiment and initiation guide. And I love to share somatic practices and really dive deep into like helping people to navigate their shadows to really, reclaim these lost and these suppressed parts of themselves to, I guess like rewild themselves as women. And this is like so juicy topic, what we're going to be talking about
Yeah.
today, because it's just something that I have journeyed with for the past few years, and it's something so close to my heart. Yeah. And I just want more women to know this about us through these conversations and through these experiences and these sharings. Yeah. So, yeah, so passionate about it. Yeah, I don't
Me
even, I'm
too.
like, I've got so many ideas. I'm like, where do I begin? It's like, no, breathe, stop.
We're here. But I think that it's really highlighted at this moment in
Mm,
time. I'm seeing, and I think that that's why we're really on fire for, I love to talk about burning down the good girl all the time
yes.
because I feel like women have been conditioned to be a certain way, look a certain way, act a certain way. And you see that all throughout every area and aspect they move into, whether it is the spiritual community, whether it is the polarity community, whether it is,
Mm-hmm.
the sexuality community. I feel like there's so many, and the feminine embodiment space. You have to do this, you can't do this, it has to look like this. And I think women have really come to a point, and even myself, like the last few years, I have really sat with like, no, no, I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to do that anymore. I don't want to show up that way. I don't have to be, over palatable and
Yeah.
nice all the time.
Yes.
And it's all a facade. Like, and women, there's so many different elements of a woman, and being a woman and contorting ourselves just makes us softer, weaker, smaller. And we've kind of had enough. I think women have just been like, fuck this, I'm
Yeah.
done.
Yeah. 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 Totally agree with you. I feel like the last couple of years has been like this mass feminine reclamation and awakening of these conditions and these beliefs and these mindsets that have been placed upon us for like fucking thousands of years. And I just I just can feel the yumminess in the air from what is awakening, what is happening, because like for me, I think it was shortly after COVID that I started waking up to all of this bullshit in the feminine. And it wasn't until I started going deep into my like tantric journey, my healing my sexuality and my shame, and really like reclaiming my voice and liberating through my voice, and like even just connecting more to my womb, and like healing the shit that was in there, the trauma, the pain, the like stored shit that was in there, has just like totally opened me up to like this whole new possibility of a different way of living. And it's like the more that I walk down this path of rewilding my own feminine and my own woman, and really like yeah, I guess just like saying fuck that to all of the shit that has kept me small and collectively kept all of us small. Of course that's a fucking journey in itself to get to that stage of being strong enough in our own sense of worth and our sense of self to be able to speak our truth, to state our desires, to express our needs, to know our worth. And I think a woman's journey, like speaking from my own experience, has been like the liberation of the voice, and to be seen in that has just been the most like hectic, like hard medicine journey.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I think it's just based on all these roles that we are assigned and that we assume and that, like get passed down to us from our mothers and grandmothers and our religion, our society, our community, that really just wants to suppress and keep us small because then we're easily controllable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I'm
Mm.
curious actually, what started you? Like, I'm always really passionate and curious, I would say, about what was the thing that actually started this journey for you? Like, especially when it comes to rewilding, because I know most of us that are on this like rewilding the feminine path and journey, there usually is like a point where we're like at a crossroads and we decide like fuck this, I'm burning this all down. And I'm curious, what was that moment, if you can think of it, that you that moment where
Yeah.
you're like, hang on a second. Yeah.
Oh gosh, I mean, I've definitely had a few. I've had a few Inanna descents into the
Yeah.
underworld, but I would say the most prominent one and the one that like pops into mind now is probably in 2022. That was like that whole year was my like feminine reclamation and sexual awakening. And I remember like first having gone to some like pleasure temples and really like learning about like, okay, the wheel of consent and like what does it feel like in my body to take pleasure from touching someone else, or how to ask for consent, how to feel in my body, what a yes feels no like no what a yes and a no feel like. And I was journeying in that realm for like 6 months until I got COVID and I got really sick. And I remember him being on like my deathbed for like a week, and I could just feel this animal inside me like stirring. It was like, the only way I can describe it was like a caged lioness, like
Mm.
a caged wild woman. And she was just like bashing at the cage and like snarling her teeth and being like, let me out. And I was like, oh my God, like my little conditioned good girl, like pleaser, like smooth everything over. Like that part of me was like, oh, we can't go there. And I remember just being so sick one day. I was just like, fuck it. Like I can't control this part of me. And I had no idea like consciously what was happening. And it was at that point that I completely like blew up my business that I was running at that stage. I was teaching yoga, I was doing like holistic counseling sessions, Reiki, access bars, like a bunch of different modalities in my business. And it was just so unsustainable. I was overgiving, like underselling my services and like just, yeah, fully in caretaker mode, like made everybody's healing like my responsibility if they weren't like getting to a certain place by like my standard of their journey. And it was at that time when I was sick, I was like, fuck this. And I just sent out a mass email saying, I am no longer, like, I quit basically.
Yep. Yep.
In hindsight, I probably should have kept the mailing list or like at least, like, but anyway, it needed to happen. Just fucking blow everything up. And I
I
moved
love
out
a
of
good
my,
blow up.
yeah,
I'm a
I love
burn it
it.
all down kind of woman. I get it.
Oh, it was wild. And I sold like half of my shit and I moved out of my house and I put the rest in storage and I bought a rooftop tent for my four-wheel drive and I just like fucking hit the road. And I was like working at different doofs around like Queensland and just being a proper like hippie bum, camping, house sitting, all of that stuff. And just like really getting to know this part of me that had been so caged my whole life. And I mean, prior to this, I was a nurse for like 7 years. So, there was a lot of that caretaker, good girl, pleaser role that had been like ingrained within me to do that, to overgive, to extend myself, to take on everybody's emotions and pain and all of that kind of shit. And yeah, I remember like 2022 just being so fucking liberating, and me just exploring my sexuality and my pleasure and my newfound like wild woman within me that was like free to roam. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I love that so much. Thank you for sharing that story with us. I find there's such a correlation with women working on their sexuality and their sensuality and getting in touch with their body and this wild woman aspect, right? And I resonate a lot to your share, getting in touch with my sexuality, my body, moving into these like temple spaces, also the, conscious kink spaces, and really giving myself like, it's like a permission slip
Yes. Yes.
to show up as you are in a safe space as well. And I find that, it is one of the greatest ways as soon as, and I say this to every woman that I work with, and I'm sure you have a very similar experience, is like, as soon as you start working on your body and your sexuality, like every area and aspect of your life, either it gets worked on, your
Yeah.
money, your business, your how you show up,
100%.
your relationships,
Yeah.
like
Mm-hmm.
it's not just like, oh, we're sitting over here and we're having orgasms and like peak pleasurable experiences. As a matter of fact, it's quite the opposite sometimes. And things just get burnt down to the
Yeah.
ground because to work on like your core essence, which I believe is like your sexuality, like your
Yeah.
sexual essence is like the purest energy within your body. And when you actually like tap into that without like have tos, shoulds, pressure, all of these like conditionings, it's like something activates and awakens in you, and you can't cage it back in.
Yeah.
You can try, but you will end up blowing your life up. And I've blown up my life quite similar to you so many times. And it's funny that you like packed everything up, because I packed everything up into my car and traveled across Australia by myself too. There's
I
there's
love
something
that.
about there's something about like being wild and free, where
Yes.
you actually have to connect to yourself in environments and places that you normally wouldn't go. And I think that that's when you really feel your true self, in that you're like, okay, how am I going to move? How am I going to tackle this problem? How am I going to meet these people? It's like you're walking in a new way
Yeah.
for the first time in your life, and it's liberating.
So liberating. Oh my
Yeah.
God. And, I just want to circle back to, the sexuality piece. Like you said, once we get into that world and where, the conscious kink, conscious BDSM places, it's like feeling in your body what your boundaries are and what your consent is. Like, it obviously it's not doesn't just relate to our sexual intimacy experiences. It is fucking life. It is like friends, family, work, like the fucking government, like the doctors telling you like, oh, you should do this, and your body is just like, oh fuck no, bro. Like, I need to listen to my intuition.
It's so true. And for the first, like, and I feel like in those spaces, it's the first time for a lot of women where it's actually felt and heard. Like their yes and their no is actually felt, heard, and respected.
Respected. Yeah.
And that in and of itself is like, I can say no, I can say yes, I can, and the birthing world is huge for
Yes.
women, like, having that taken away from them. So I
Yes.
find, like you said, it's this experience of I can touch in with my body, I can say
Yeah.
yes and no,
Yeah.
and I don't have to lean into those people pleaser tendencies,
Yes.
those overgiving tendencies. It's
Yeah.
like, what do I want?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's so
I'm here for
amazing.
this.
Yeah, I know. It's so juicy when like women can finally like know the tools, how to drop into their body and be like, that's what a no feels like. But then it's taking it the next step. It's like, okay, well, can you trust your no and can you actually speak it without like shrinking down or contracting or being like, oh, sorry, no, sorry, like, can you deliver your no, your embodied no, with fucking conviction that that is right and true for you, and stand by that? Like, that's the ultimate test. And I think, like, I mean, for me, I've been doing this work for like a while now, a couple of years, and that's the thing that still I'm like, oh, okay, no. Like, sometimes it's like having that conviction behind the no.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then how to deal with it if people don't respect your no, or they rebut your no, or whatever, what then, how else do you want to show up?
Yeah, and I think you've hit a really key piece there, and a really like core point to this is like you can say yes and no, and it's the energy behind that,
Yeah.
right? and
Yeah.
and truly I think that is the work as well, of like, and I really want to get into some of these threads as well, the woundings that we have around that, about getting what we want, or shrinking ourselves, or not asking for what we want. And there's some core things that I see repeated in myself and also women around me. And it's always like the good girl conditioning,
Mm,
the caregiver,
yes.
the overgiving, and the
Yeah.
self betrayal wounds and self
Yeah.
abandonment. Like,
Yeah.
we as women have learnt from society to orientate ourselves around other people. Like, we don't center
100%.
ourselves
Yeah.
and our body and our experience
Mhm.
in our lives.
Yeah.
And I think this is what causes us to sort of get to that point in time and in our lives where we're just like, fuck this. And
Yeah.
we just blow it up. We like smoke bomb it, we burn it
Yeah.
all down,
Yeah.
because we're looking around and we see that the life that we are living, we're not living it for us.
Mhm.
Right. And that is like a really heartbreaking
Oh,
experience to move through.
it's huge.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think that the energy, like, there's a lot of work that comes with like being in conviction with your energy and with your yes and your no, and like moving that way. And it's got a lot to do with like, yeah, our self-worth, our people pleaser aspects, and
Yes.
all of these threads that have actually, we've been taking on since
Yeah.
before we could talk.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, I feel like when a woman finally does realize, like, fuck this, it's like entering villain mode, and
Yes.
everyone's like, she's a fucking bitch, or like, what the fuck is wrong with her? And it's like they demonize her because is finally starting to stand up and like speak her truth. And I just wanted to add with that, and very much speaking from past personal experience, is that when a good girl or pleaser does start to wake up and realize, like, fuck this, I'm going to speak my truth to that person, my boss, blah, blah, blah. I think there's a level of accountability and responsibility in how we express that, right? Like, we don't want to just like blow fucking fire to each person and be like, I fucking hate that you do this, or blah, blah, blah. Because I've definitely done that. I'm like, no, I'm going to reclaim my voice and I'm going to speak up for what I want and say my fucking truth and no one can stop me. And then it was just like, I just caused fucking havoc, chaos.
Yeah.
And so I think there's like definitely like some nuance to this of like, yes, for sure, liberate your voice, say the thing that you need to say, but also how can you, I guess, deliver it in a way that is still through the heart, because that's what it's about. That's how it's going to be received. And how can you express your needs, your desires, your boundaries, whatever it is, with that air of kindness. Unless it's a person who's being an absolute asshole and you're just like so done with it.
Sometimes it's needed. Sometimes
Sometimes
it's
it's
needed,
needed.
especially if you're in a like toxic, unhealthy,
Yeah.
abusive environment.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people definitely use those
Mm.
aspects and sides of ourselves. And I am a full yes to being a raging bitch when it comes to it,
Yeah.
because I
Hmm.
feel like we have allowed our boundaries to be crossed for so long as
Mm.
women.
Yeah.
And people, like insidious people, use that against us, right? And I also do believe that there is this element of pendulum swinging when we actually come to our equilibrium. So
Mm,
I feel like it's quite prominent that if you've always been like a people pleaser, somebody who that's always said yes, somebody that's always looked after everyone else before yourself, and it's quite common to flip to the other side of that and to let it out. And this is the thing I hate when people do this or women do this and then they move into like a bit of a shame spiral and collapse
yes.
again.
Yeah, yeah.
So like I love to be like, there's so much things coming out in the medical industry now that actually back this up, that you either be a bitch or you get like what's the thing they're talking about now, the autoimmune disorders are like
Yeah.
extremely on the rise, like women attacking their own bodies, and there's this new thing saying like be a bitch, and of course they don't mean like
Yeah.
spew your fire
Yeah,
out
yeah,
everywhere,
yeah.
but being a bitch to a woman is literally just saying no, having boundaries and walking with that, and people
Yeah.
are not used to saying
They're
no.
not
Like
they're
they're
not
not used
used
to us
to it.
being like,
Yeah, I
they're like,
know.
"Oh, she's horrible. She's
Yeah.
saying no." Like, the big villain. Poor me. But yeah, there's an element of like, it's coming out now. Like, if we don't stand up for ourselves, if we keep collapsing into these people pleaser aspects, like our
Mm,
body will start to attack itself and its own
mm,
defense mechanisms, which is
100%.
huge
Yeah,
in learning to like rewild your feminine, like
yeah.
giving it energy to move. And I like to think of like women sometimes when they don't have like an unlocked throat and they're not like unlocking their sexual energy and they're like cut off from the pussy as well. It's like a pressure cooker, right? And what does a pressure cooker do when it can't release its energy and steam? It like blows up.
Mm,
And this is why it's important to open the throat and use the voice and, drop into pussy. But it's like also that takes time. Like
yes.
when you first pop it off, it might be explosive unless you're consciously tapping into it and slowly working with it.
Yeah,
And there's no shame in that,
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I love that. Bringing in our pussy is like it's crucial. It is
crucial.
absolutely crucial. Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. And I think like for me what really helped to connect more to my pussy power, my womb power was to do the healing of like gazing at my pussy. Like I had to actually look at her in the mirror and
Yeah.
like reconnect with her, because before doing that it was like it was just this part of my body that I was always covering with underwear and clothes, or like, it had its functions, and and that was it, and it was an entrance for sex or an exit for we, and like that was it. And when I started really healing my relationship with my pussy and my womb, it was like, oh my god, like all of the times that I've just like used you, abused you, had other people use you, like, not asked your consent for entrance, not checked in with you, like just ignored certain like signs of, itchiness or like thrush, even like, oh yeah, it's just a medical episode. Like, no, it happens because of an emotional thing, or, that I'm not listening to her. And I should have worn my shirt. I've got a shirt saying "Listen to your pussy."
Yes.
And I think like since doing the pussy reclamation work has just like completely catapulted my capacity and my ability to drop into her, to listen to her, to feel her. And she is the part of us, of women, that's like the most connected to source, to consciousness, to the earth, to the cosmic mother. Like she is our most primal, natural, like part of ourselves, and the creative sexual eros life force energy that lives inside our womb and our pussy is like, fuck, insane the shit that we can create from that energy. And not, obviously not just humans, like, yeah,
Yeah.
birthing ideas, projects, like I channel everything through my pussy. I'm just
Yeah.
like, okay, what does this feel like, girl? Like, should we
Yeah.
bring this idea into creation? And like that's where I had this idea for this current offering that I have coming up, is like, yeah, you need to share this. So
I love
um
that.
yeah.
It's so true. And the aspect that I really want to highlight and come back around to again is like the primal aspect of
Mm,
ourselves, right? Like our primal
yes.
nature. It is instinct. It is, and it's so interesting because I find that a lot of women somatically in the body, I talk about this quite often and regularly. They live from the neck up or from the
Yeah.
waist up. They have
Yeah.
that like feminine split, I like to call
Mhm.
it,
Mhm.
where they're really disconnected from the belly
Yeah.
down, right?
Mhm.
And there is like this disconnect, and it's like, how can you be really tapped into these like subtle energies, the subtle pulse of life, if you are disconnected from it, like internally, right? Like, pussy is wild,
Mhm.
primal, like deep
Yeah.
instinct and nature.
Mhm.
And I feel like this embodying pussy, like getting in touch with pussy, like looking at her, feeling her, working with her, is one of the core pieces,
100%.
especially for me,
Yeah.
to tap into my totality of my power as a woman,
Yes.
and like what I want to bring through. And yeah, it is just like this portal to the unseen realms,
Yeah.
right? That we
Mhm.
just haven't been taught. We have like been eradicated. And I'm really huge on like rites of passage
Mm.
too, as women, and how this wisdom hasn't been passed down to us, right? So we're just like walking in an ancient way, but in a new way, and like learning from each other. We're kind of like rewilding each other at the moment. And you
Yeah,
can
we
feel that,
are.
and it feels
Yeah.
good. Like, it's like, oh, this is what I do. This is how I do it. This is quite old. But it's new, and we're just
Yeah.
figuring it out together,
Yes. 100%. And
Yeah.
like also reconnecting and reclaiming our blood and our bleed and our cycle. Like,
You're speaking my language, girl. You're
yeah,
speaking my language.
like if we can't like be fucking inspired and like in awe about our magic blood that comes out every month. Like it's like this, like I love to put it on my face, to really
Same.
reconnect to this primal part of myself. And I think like the most liberating thing I've ever done is like reclaiming to my menstrual cycle and like reclaiming my pussy power and my sexuality and my life force and my eros as like, yeah, these like magical things that we have access to as women, and we're not taught this.
No.
And it's really like knowing, and I think actually one of the most liberating things I've ever done is letting my pussy grow wild, her hair, just not taming her at all. And for the first time I did that, like, and I can speak probably for a lot of women, I used to get Brazilians, laser, like completely like have fucking like scarred some of my skin down there from the laser, and just like painful moderations to my hair because it was like, oh, that's what men like, and that's what I should be having done. And yuck, pubic hair is disgusting, but like I let it grow out after I split up with a man once, and I was like,
Yeah.
fuck you, like I'm reclaiming myself. Let her grow full bush for like months, and I'll just like stroke her hair, and I was just like, yeah, like I feel fucking white, like grew out my armpit hair. I was like, yes. Like it felt so good to remember my like primal wild self, free bleeding on the earth, putting my blood on my face, like,
Yes.
it was like, yes, I'm a fucking animal. I am a human animal. And it was like I loved it. Loved it. Yeah.
Something that we have been separated from. So these little things, and I will admit that it's taken me some time to get to the extremes that I have. I remember when I first, like, my first tantra teacher was like 14 years ago. And she used to tell me that she rubbed her period blood on her face.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, that's disgusting. I could never. And I just had to have a little chuckle because I was like, oh, we've come full circle. Here I am with all my blood all over my face. And, you know, and it starts off small. Like
Yeah.
it starts off actually learning to be in touch with these, because what's gonna come up and what's quite obvious is I really want to scream this from the rooftops.
Mm.
Everything that everyone tries to keep you from is where your where your power and magic lies.
Yes.
Right? So there is like
Yeah.
lots of conditioning around our bleed as being disgusting and
Yeah.
unclean. And we've got a lot of conditioning around that.
Mm-hmm.
Go to the places where they try and keep you from, right? And it's like, and this is in all avenues. I am so anti systems,
Mm-hmm.
government systems, education systems, like, I'm just like anti burn it all down. But because they keep you in these things. So, you can really sit with like the detest for your own blood and the detest
Yes.
for your own, but you're a mammal. Like you are a mammal. This is perfectly natural. And those conditionings, like you've got to tap in, subtly, like learning to actually be, and like my number one key to doing any of these things is just bringing your awareness and connection to it first and foremost. Right?
100%.
Most women don't even see their blood unless it's on like a pad and filled with like bleach and chemicals
Yeah.
and gross, or on a tampon. There's that
Mm-hmm.
disconnect there. Right.
Yes.
And so, my first way of starting to get in touch was actually using a cup. So
Same. Yeah.
your hands are
Mm-hmm.
connecting with it. And
Yeah.
you move through disgust and that pretty quickly. And then you start to realize that it's a potent time
Yes.
and your body's just doing its thing. And when you work with it rather than against it, like this is where you can actually remember like your old ways of living, your very
Yes.
primal animal wild ways, but
Mm.
also like your higher consciousness, your spiritual essence as well, where you can actually birth these things into
Yeah,
reality,
for
because
sure.
that's what you're made to do as a woman.
Yes.
Like,
Yes, I know, right? Oh, we have these amazing portals like in our bodies that, yeah, like can pretty much bring anything from creation like into life. Like, and I think so many women, like including myself in the past until I got into this world, because it's like a rabbit hole when you
yeah,
get into it. You're like, oh my God, it just keeps going deeper and like what's all the shit that happened in history and oh my God. And I think for me that's been like the biggest wake up call is that like to truly feel that I am a fucking magical person. Like we are magic. Like anything that we want to create into reality, like can come through if you're willing to believe in yourself enough and like have, back yourself that like, yeah, I can bring that through. And like, we can go into like sex magic, utilizing our sexual life force energy to create. And I don't know. I think also like talking on, like the importance of the darkness and the descent as well through our womb. Like obviously like the menstruation time is really about that like descending into the void of nothingness and letting go and shedding and all of that stuff. And I feel that the more that we can really like work with our cycles through these parts of ourselves, but also noticing when in our life we're also entering kind of like that descent or that void, going into the underworld,
yeah,
following these myths and stories of goddesses like Inanna and Ishtar and Persephone and even Venus going into her evening and morning star into her underworld ascent journey. Like I feel like these stories and myths were obviously based off women, real women, and how we can like take these as examples of how to live our own lives with, I guess, that more cyclical or living close to the bone or living close to nature kind of, yeah, these
yeah,
cycles. Because we're not like men. We don't we're not the same. And I think the sooner that women realize that, because I feel like there's still a lot of women out there who are like, oh yeah, I can do the same as a man. Like, I can, and it's like, yeah, you can, but is that working to your like biological advantage? And
100%.
yeah, yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know where I was going with that, but
I don't know. That was
anyway,
beautiful. That was perfect. And you know what? Like this truth has absolutely been kept from us. Like, there's no other way. We have been taught that we are to show up to these 9 to 5s. Everything is structured around a
mhm,
man's like testosterone levels. He has a 24-hour cycle. We do not. Like, it is all very biological. And that's the thing that the medical industry and like the science industry and all of that have really not been doing studies on women.
no,
We're far more complex. Our
yeah,
hormones are far more complex. We have our cycles. They're too hard to get data from and extract data from. So we actually have been left out of that and been taught to live the same way as a man, right? And so we actually have been forced to refuse our own descent journeys, to refuse our underworld journeys and
mm,
our cyclical nature, because we have to show up, we have to go to work, we have to push ourselves. And then we wonder why we get to this midlife era and we're like, fuck you all, and
yeah,
burn it all down. Because something in our body, you can only do that for so long before the body's just like, no. And it will either, like I said, start attacking itself as
hmm,
like a defense mechanism to make sure you slow the fuck down, or you will just blow shit up and start to come to the universal truths of you as a woman. And you have to go to those journeys, like those underworld journeys, those void states,
yes,
to really get in touch with like who you
yeah,
are, like
who you are.
as a woman.
Mm, mm-hmm.
And that's the thing, like so many people are scared, like, and it's a number one thing I see a lot in my clients and the women I work with, is like being absolutely petrified and scared of the unknown.
Yes.
And it's so interesting because I feel like they are tapped into the unknown, unseen realm 24/7 with their womb, right? Like with their, the great dark mother, the portal within
Mm-hmm.
their womb that actually brings in life. And
Mm-hmm.
it's so interesting to me that that's the thing that they're terrified of.
Yeah, I know. I know, right? But I think, yeah, I mean, what is unknown can't be controlled. So, again, that comes back to like, maybe there's like that fear of the surrender of what's underneath that. And I think it also relates to like a lot of women, or I guess people in general who, yeah, it's like they can't trust that life has them, or that they're going to be guided on the path that they're supposed to be, or the opportunities are going to come up for them that are right for them. And I think, like, I don't know, just the trust piece is, I think, is one of the most difficult things to have. And because
Yeah.
for me it was like, no, like I'm in charge of my life, and like I'm the one who has to make everything happen. But the more that I've gone down this path of like connecting to my womb wisdom, to nature, to, different goddesses, different goddess cultures, like I'm like, oh no, there's a greater force at play, 100%. And for me, my God isn't a man. Like it is very much feels very feminine to me. And I don't know, I'm just thinking like I could go into so many things right now, and my brain is like, okay, stay on track. Because I'm like, well, what happened to the great creatrix of the universe? She's
Yeah.
been obliterated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
Completely erased.
completely erased. And like before patriarchal rule and introduction of like male figured religions, it was goddess culture. It was a matriarchal society. It was like, you've seen the Venus of Willendorf like figurine. She's got big beautiful breasts and hips, and it was this place of like, from all accounts of like what I've read and through history has discovered, that it was like very woman focused, very woman centric. When women were bleeding, we went to red tents and we were like the oracles of our tribes. And
This makes sense to me.
yes, right. And
Women
women,
being revered makes
yeah.
sense.
Yeah, and you know, we were seen as like these amazing creatures that bled every month and didn't die, and you know, could create life and birth humans into existence. And then, you know, with the introduction of patriarchy, it's just like, you know, I know for now in many cultures and religions, women, when they're bleeding, they're put in these tents because it's like, yuck, like that's disgusting, like get them away. It's like turned into these shameful places, like the ancient priestess temples that were used for sexual healing practices and rites of passages for men. Women would initiate the men into their sexual
Yes.
had now been changed to like whorehouses where women were taken advantage of and like were seen as like these shameful, sinful creatures. And you know, I think it's been from there that this whole suppression and silencing of our voice, of our sexuality, because I feel like it was because the men were absolutely fucking petrified of the power that women have. And so it's like, oh, let's contain that, let's shut that down, let's fucking condition them so that they can, you know, that they're better, what's the saying, seen not heard. Yeah.
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 And it's big. It's really, really big. I think when you start like awakening to the truth of all of
Mm,
this, it becomes like, because like you said, it's like going down the rabbit hole in different pathways. You're like, holy shit. Like I've gone to these like matriarchal like temples where they were just women temples and
wow.
older than the pyramids. I
Yes.
went and that and it was like the energy there is so intense, and that's where like I was in Malta actually, and that's
Mm,
where they actually started to see the like birthing women statues. Like it was
wow.
all fucking hell, it was
Wow.
so powerful. And then you start to see that like so many things are an illusion and so many things are a lie. Like because I didn't even know this place existed. I just stumbled across it. I was like, I never knew this existed. Like,
Wow.
what? And then you start to realize history has kind of been skewed. History has been a bit
Yes.
of a lie. Like everything has kind of been dirtied up to
Mm-hmm.
make us not see truth and like see through things clearly. And it really keeps us in a perpetual cycle of, yeah, disconnection and constantly trying to like fix ourselves and
Yeah.
better ourselves, which again is, I think, an eternal loop
Yes.
of. And I think that a lot of women, especially at this point in time, like I've actually started to see the healing goggles like fall off of a lot of women's faces. And don't get me wrong, like I was even in that. Like I always had to fix myself. I had to do better. I had to be better, to call in better. And it just perpetually kept me in this broken down state instead of like actually sovereign in the truth of like my
Yes.
power and who I am and my
Mm-hmm.
worthiness exactly as I am. And that's what they don't want,
Yeah.
right?
No, they don't want that.
I don't want that. Like when we actually come into our power as like as a woman, and it doesn't look like, and this is what I love about like you and what you're bringing forth too, is like you have that like rare energy and quality of like being wild, it being
Mm,
primal, like it, a lot of what we see is we have to be pristine and
yes.
like look a certain way and talk a certain
100%.
way, and we
Yep.
have to talk like this because that's
Yep.
us talking for like it's a facade.
Mhm. Mhm.
And like strip all that way away and
Yep.
like we're just like really raw in our human essence and our
Yep.
animal essence and our
Yep.
divine essence, and it's all
Mhm.
anchored here right now.
Mhm.
And that's fucking beautiful. Like
Yep.
that's how we need to move forward. And I think that, yeah, the healing goggles are like falling off everyone. And they're just like, actually, I don't need to do any more work, and more like, I actually just need to get in touch with who the fuck I am at my
Yep.
most like wild and
Yep.
primal.
Yep. For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think a big part of that is like reclaiming our body and our beauty as like, I'm beautiful and perfect as I am. Like, I don't need to get fucking like, adjustments or chemical fillers or surgery or whatever. I mean, obviously each woman to their own, but I think there's been a lot of like this like conditioning from our like capitalism being like, hey, you need this, or like brainwashing women to think that they need to look a certain way in order to be attractive. And, really demonizing aging and trying to like prevent it by creating all these, creams and Botox and all of that stuff. And it's like, actually, what if we were to reclaim our aging as a fucking powerful rite of passage into crone, into maga, into our wisdom and our knowledge that we can then share from an embodied place to younger generations, to younger women walking this path. And
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know what they fed us, because like the older I've gotten, like I'm nearly 40 in a year, right? And so, and I've never gotten any work done or anything like that. I'm completely natural. Like, like you said, each their own. But I feel, I don't know what they're telling the young ones, or like, but I feel the most beautiful, the most authentic, the most like than I ever have in my entire life. Like,
Same.
and that is so, because I remember being younger. I
Yeah.
remember being like 20 years old,
Yes.
and just feeling like, oh my God, I didn't want to age. I didn't want to look old or have wrinkles and stuff. And like, 20 years later, and I'm like, actually, I feel so beautiful.
Yeah.
Like and I like my wrinkles. I'm like, yes, like, and but it comes from like an internal embodiment
Yes.
of who you are
Totally.
too. It's like, I just feel the most like powerful, beautiful, like embodied version of myself. And I feel like I need to scream that from the rooftops as well, to let the younger generation know, like, it actually, because that wasn't my thinking as I was
No.
younger.
Yeah.
And when I've gotten here, I'm like, oh, wow. Like, I'm so glad that I didn't touch my body and have just let it happen organically,
Yes.
because I really feel at home in myself and my
Yes.
body. And
Yeah.
the best is yet to come. We're not
I
even in our
know.
prime yet. Like
I
mid
know.
40s is our hormonal
Yeah.
prime. Watch out, world. We'll be in our
Yeah. I know, right?
adolescence. But they don't teach you that, and
No.
you don't have that, in the world of celebrities and this, that, and the other. Not that
Yeah.
I've ever been big on that, but it's going to get worse for the younger generation. I suppose with the rise of like AI and like
Yes.
phone and tech, like the constant comparison to like
Yes.
other women and beauty standards and keeping up. It's like we were actually meant to be smaller tribes people, like on the
Totally.
land. Like
Yeah.
that is quintessentially, and I've been calling in seeds of that for a while now. I would
Yeah.
love to be in my little matriarchal like
Yeah.
community space on the land, and I I don't think we're meant to be seeing like all of these, so many faces and
No.
comparing ourselves to, and so many different energies, and so many, it's just
Yeah.
amplified it a lot more, these like wounding particles within us, I think.
Totally. Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I honestly feel like, and speaking from my own experience, that the more inner work that I do on really loving my body and reconnecting to my emotions, my sensations, like processing, actually feeling my feelings, and just being aware of what's happening inside my internal reality, I find that it shines more on my actual physical body, because you're not holding on to those emotions, you're not suppressing them or pushing them down, which has been linked to a lot of like weight gain or like puffy skin, or different things that we see as like not beautiful. And yeah, it's just like a reflection of that shining out, really. And yeah, so who needs Botox when you can
Yeah.
do that to
Further
yourself?
disconnect yourself from your body and numb yourself
Yeah.
out. And then again,
Yeah.
that's again another thing that they do. So
Exactly.
I am curious, my love. We have gone through a fair few
Mm,
things. We've gone through womb, blood, cycles,
yes.
pussy embodiment, turning down conditioning, good girls,
Yep.
caregiver, stop
Mhm.
self-abandoning. I
Mhm.
am curious. I feel like we'll start to wrap up now, but if
Mm.
there's anything you wish to share, like in your heart, in your body, that wants to come through to anybody listening, or even like, yeah, like some advice or on this pathway of rewilding your
Yeah.
feminine?
Gosh.
So much.
So much. Yeah. I mean, the thing that's pinging me right now and is probably like not super available to many people depending on their situation, but sell your shit, move into a car and just go and travel. Like try out life solo and travel and explore yourself, the land around you. You know, what does it feel like to shit in a bush? What does it
Yeah.
feel like to swim naked in a creek for your shower for the day? You know, that's very extreme, but also keeping it like practical as well. I would say start become like if you're on contraception, if you can come off that, quit immediately as soon as possible.
Immediately, yes.
Yeah. And then start to reconnect to your cycle. I would say if you're new to all of any of this stuff, starting to reconnect to your most primal, raw part of yourself, your womb, your blood, and start to see how your hormones and how your energy changes throughout the month. Start to live cyclically, start to connect to your blood, start to look at your pussy and just really question your like the ways in which you're like not speaking up for yourself or crossing your boundaries or you know saying yes when you really want to say when everything in your body is saying no, like connecting more to your body's sensations, like learning how to feel your feelings and you know your emotions. These are probably very like baseline like starter point things.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
key. I
Yeah.
always say, like, anyone that's on this journey, on this path, like getting in touch, like cyclical living, getting in touch with your womb and your blood and
Mhm.
like working with your bleed is like foundational. And you really
Totally.
can't be doing that while you're on hormone or birth control. We can
Yeah.
go into all the other things that it's terrible for, but just
Mhm.
for that in and of itself.
Yeah.
And I loved your like, yeah, just sell everything, get on the land, like just fucking go wild. But there is honestly, it is the most liberating experience because you come like full face to face with yourself.
Yeah.
And there is like like so much falls away just in the elements, like while you're
Yes.
by yourself, like howling in
Yes.
the outback by yourself, like
Yeah. Yeah.
that you're just like, oh, like there's this undeniable, like you've got you. Like you
Yeah.
actually have to rely fully on yourself and like rework who you are, like
Yeah.
in different environments, away
Yeah.
from, and this is the thing, like a lot of us stay stuck and stagnant in spaces where our conditioning and our belief systems
Yes.
are reflected back to
Mm.
us. So, like, always being a people pleaser, always saying yes,
Yeah.
people's projections of you, like
Yeah.
your family dynamics,
Yeah.
your local coffee shop. Like
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
just the mirror
Yeah.
is, and if you really want to escape yourself but find
Yeah.
yourself at the same time,
Yeah.
extract yourself from that
Leave.
environment
Yeah.
and those conditionings and
100%.
actually start to really like liberate yourself and find
Yes.
out who you are without those
Those roles.
reflected, yeah, those
Yeah.
roles.
Yeah.
So
100%.
important.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's huge. I remember like I 2024, my soul was like, you need to go. And I just sold everything again. I've done this a few times. Got a backpack and I just fucked off to Spain. And I was traveling around for 18 months around Europe and Morocco and Egypt and just hitchhiking, couch surfing, doing work away, like house sitting, like visiting sacred sites like goddess temples and like all of that sort of stuff. And it was like I could be anybody who I wanted to be because nobody knew. I could even change my name. I could fucking like show up a whole different persona, like identity, because nobody knew. And it was actually one of the most epicest like liberating things I've ever done is that, because I was like, yeah, I don't have to play a role over here. And then it wasn't until I came back in the integration phase into like, okay, well, how does this new me want to fit into my old, you know, my hometown, my family's here, my old friends group, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like that little like micro changes of like, okay, I'm going to show up differently like this. I'm going to say this instead of this, or whatever. And it's like reweaving yourself back into your old life, but in a whole new way that feels more aligned for you. Yeah, it's
Yeah, because
challenging. Yeah,
it's challenging, but it becomes a lot easier to get
yeah,
out of those, like, those, I would say, like, those relational dynamic
yeah.
grooves
Mhm.
when you actually have like strong trust and faith and conviction in who
Yes.
you are,
Yeah.
and then come back. Whereas, like, if you're in the same grooves, it's harder to rewire new grooves with people.
Yes.
And like
100%.
naturally the dynamics shift and change. Some people
Yeah.
fall away,
Yeah.
some people like get on board, and
Yeah.
that's the art of like getting in touch with yourself. It's like,
Yeah.
who's coming along with me? Who is
Yeah.
going to like learn to stretch and grow?
Mhm.
And this is like the art of human relating in
It
general. Like,
is.
especially as women, we become like 1,000 different women in our lifetime.
Right.
And who's going to stretch and grow and come with us, or who
Yeah.
is going to be uncomfortable in that stretch and
Yeah.
choose to drop off? And
Yeah.
that's not yours to hold. And I think a
No.
lot of women hold on to that so deeply and make it
Mm.
so much more about themselves, about
Mm.
being lovable and
Mhm.
chosen and worthy, when
Yeah.
it really isn't about that at all. it's
Mhm.
it's it's like
Yeah.
they're comfortable here, let them
Yeah.
stay there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. And I want to just say to that, like, when I came home, like November 2025 last year, like a few of my family were like, are you in a cult? Like,
Always. Why do they always think you're in a cult?
just because I'm like someone different or, yeah, showing up differently. It's so funny.
Yep. Yep. They're like, "Are you okay?" I'm better than
Yeah.
ever, actually.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm amazing.
yeah, people get uncomfortable. People get uncomfortable when you start to act a different way, or like
Mhm.
ask for more. And I
Yeah.
think that that's the thing as women. We've been asked and conditioned to ask for less
Yes.
constantly, and we
Yeah.
actually like we fill the gap. We're
Yes.
constantly filling the gap between us and our relationships. And when
Mhm.
we lean back and choose not to fill the gap anymore, people don't want to fill the gap and they feel
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. Yeah.
Stop self-abandoning. Get back
Yes.
to your rewild nature.
Yes.
Rewild yourself. Woo!
Yes.
All
Amazing.
right, my love. Oh my God, I've absolutely loved this conversation.
Me too.
And I love you and I love the work that you're doing and sharing.
Thank
And I love that
you.
you're close to me. It's so hard to find people that are in Australia and like doing this
Yes.
work. And so I'm
Mhm.
like super
Yes.
stoked to work with you in the future.
I love that.
But if anybody wants to reach out to connect with you, dive deeper into this
Mm.
work, please share what you've got alive and aligned for them at the moment.
Yes. Well, in beautiful conjunction with what we've been talking about today, I'm just about to launch a new 7-week somatic embodiment journey. It's called Rewild Your Woman, and yay! I'm so excited. This creation has come to me. I think it came to me in January this year, and I've just been sitting with it because I've had to move through so much shit myself to be able to bring this creation to life. And that's always like what happens, right? It's like you have this thing and it fucking initiates you. And it starts on July the 23rd, and it's a 7-week journey for women to really learn how to like obliterate their good girl, like reclaim their voice and step more into their wild, authentic, primal, like expressive selves. And we go deep, like, we talk all about like the witch wound, the patriarchy, like the history of how the conditioning of the good girl and the pleaser and these caretaker roles and a rescuer have come into our bodies and through our ancestral DNA. We go deep into reclaiming our sacred rage as well, which is so empowering when we can safely like tap into that part of ourselves somatically and really release that part, because there's so many of us that have been taught that, like, don't be angry, that's like an immature emotion to feel, like all of that fucking conditioning about anger being like a negative or an immature emotion. It's actually the gateway for us to truly liberate ourselves and our voice.
Yes.
We'll be diving deep into good girl pleaser conditioning and like feeling that in our body where that lives. We'll be doing and it's all somatic work. So we'll be doing work on really connecting to that wild woman, learning more about dark feminine archetypes and how they can really, and different goddesses who can really, help to liberate us. We'll be doing a little bit of like womb menstrual cycle connection as well, and yeah, really talking about obliterating these beauty standards that we have of like aging is like demonized and wrong, and we have to stay young at all costs, and yeah, so
Sounds so
I
good.
can't
It
wait
sounds
to.
like everything that I love and
Yes.
everything that I am like, yes for. Oh, yes. It sounds great.
Yes, so that's starting July 23rd, and on July the 9th, I'll be running a free 90-minute powerful taster, and it's called Unleashed. So, yeah, it's a 90-minute workshop, and at the end of that, I'll be giving away some juicy like early bird discounts and bonuses for the women who join within the first 48 hours after that free workshop is finished, as like a
Perfect.
little pre-taster to what's to come in the full program. Yeah. And I
Yum. It
I
sounds
also,
really juicy. Yeah.
yes, I'm so excited. And also like I offer ongoing one-on-one mentoring for women as well. It's called the Embodied Woman Mentorship. So I offer 1 and 3 month programs. So I've got a couple of women doing that at the moment too. So if there is some deeper work to do, you can also join me in that. And all the details are on my website.
Perfect. And I will
Yeah.
have all of those details on the show notes as you see fit. But
Beautiful.
yeah, excellent. It was so lovely to have you here on the Alchemy podcast.
You
And
too, lovely.
it was good. It was so gorgeous and totally in alignment with what I feel like a lot of women will be feeling. I know there was so much medicine
100%.
there. So
Yep.
thank you very much.
Yep.
Looking forward to connecting more in the
Thank
future.
you,
But
lovely. See you.
see you
Bye.
soon. And thank you, everybody, for listening to Alchemy with Shiana Lee. If you have anything that you would love to come and share with us and connect with us, you can via the notes. And yeah, we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.